Travis to start getting working on the interior and exterior. Hopefully, good news. Maybe, and I think there's somebody that you knew. I'm not sure, but did you want to comment at all?
I talked to Travis and he said he had somebody that could do cement.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There was some confusion about the permits being a permit. The building has its own building permit, and the shoreline's a totally separate animal. Even though they were for the same project, it's different funding sources and a different permit.
Okay.
So I don't see any problems in finishing. Oh, we've got the inside ready, and then cosmetic stuff to finish it, and we have no money to do that.
Okay. Great.
Ours has been re-upped for another 2 years. I'm surprised that I haven't heard anything about it.
Say that again.
Our grant money,
Uh-huh.
I haven't heard anything from the state to say it's been reappropriated.
Okay.
So ours needs to be spent by June 30th.
Okay.
And we have enough work to be able to do that.
Okay. Well, we better push forward.
Yes, we are pushing.
Okay, port safety and security, we kind of got that in our report.
There wasn't much for the month of May.
Okay, which is kind of good to hear. Setting of the time and date for our monthly hybrid workshop and special meeting. Without John here, I don't know if we can do that. We could try to set up something, and then if it doesn't work, then we can go from there.
Yeah,
How's
because
that?
otherwise it's kind of
Yeah.
hit and miss because we can't meet to
I know,
discuss
to
it.
make
So
that's right.
it's catch-22.
Traditionally, let's take a look here. We've often had it like the week before, like maybe the last week in June. What do you think about that?
Depends on the day. It can be harder for me to do it on that Tuesday, Wednesday, or Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. My daughter's got an appointment in the morning.
What about Thursday, the 26th?
I am open on the 26th.
Well, let's tentatively do that.
Can I ask a question about the Oyster House real quick? So is there a location you guys have like set upon for where it's gonna have its final resting spot?
Yes, it's been
Where's that
at the old launch ramp, which is right in front of here.
So that's where the porta potties go for Allyn Days, is right in that area?
No, it's over in front, right up front here. There's kind of a bulkhead there now,
Yeah.
and that's where the launch ramp used to be. So that's where-
I remember
at?
it.
So is it
Yeah.
like across from like the bathrooms?
At the flag. If you look right straight out the window, that's it.
So it's not gonna be in the parking lot at all then?
That's not, yeah,
Well, it's gonna.
that's what the plan is, to get it over the water.
It's gonna butt up to the parking lot.
Okay,
It's just gonna block the view of a lot of the water.
it doesn't matter as long as we have cars that we can park in there. I mean, that's what we're worried about, is parking for Allyn Days, cause it's already kind of, stressful a little bit. Now the Haven's been sold.
Well, parking doesn't really matter. We've been hearing a lot from the community about it taking up the view from the water. And people out here enjoying the park and enjoying, everything, and just taking up the view of the water and seeing out across the water. So that's why we're just concerned.
Okay,
I really don't care about parking.
I care about parking.
I
like
care
to
more
walk.
about the view, so.
You just move a few feet to the left or a few feet to the right, and you'll be able to see.
Okay.
What
okay.
time are we talking?
What time would you like it?
Well, we've been doing it like 9 o'clock in the morning,
Which is fine, yeah, that's fine with me.
so that works for me.
That's a public meeting.
Yes,
Yes.
it's a public meeting, yep.
Oh, yes.
It's a special meeting / workshop. Okay, so we got that one done. Now the tribal canoe journey. Matter of fact, we had hosted one 10 years ago, I guess. And they make a canoe trip. It's not just the Squaxin tribe, I think the Puyallup tribe as well comes through here. So Do you have a time? Did they give you a time?
I want to say it was like 9 a.m.
Wow, that's early.
No,
Okay.
you said that they were gonna show up here at noon.
Noon. I think they leave at like 9 a.m.
They leave
Okay.
their place at 9 and show up here at noon.
Well, good. Thank you for that. Okay.
Thank you.
We
We were
joined
there
in
last
also.
year when they came up here. They beached on the beach, and Richard and I were you there? Or you were. But we met with them, and so that we could talk with them and stuff, so that they could be part of our community a little bit more.
Yes.
Do they do this every year?
Yeah, they do the canoe journey every year.
Oh, I didn't realize it was every year.
'Cause I-
That's excellent.
When we lived in Port Angeles, the Elwas would
Yeah.
have it, and they would all get on the beach. It's very exciting because
Yeah.
you get a lot of tribes, and even the Lummies will come down, and all the other from the Salish tribes.
Yes, that's wonderful.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Me too.
Last time we provided water, so maybe we could do that.
I will make a note.
Okay.
The
Okay.
ACA is gonna put a stage up for them so that they can do some sort of something. That's what Courtly had told me, that he's gonna, cause it's the day after Allyn Days, and so they're setting up something for them to keep it up so that they can use it too or something.
When is Allyn Days?
Allyn Days is
18th, 19th, 20th.
Third
Yes.
weekend in July.
third weekend in July, and then, sorry, I have like 3 different tabs open.
It's all
Not
right.
that fast.
And with Dawn being out, could you guys give us a list of stuff that we can help out with?
Sure.
On maintenance stuff, cause we've got people that can help keep up, the lawn, bushes, anything like that, if there's anything that's plumbing, electrical, whatever. So.
Yes,
We're here
absolutely.
representing the ACA.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, great. Thank you.
Can I get your contact information after this,
You can.
and then I will get you guys
A list.
a list.
Yeah.
Perfect,
The
yeah,
Excellent.
18th, 19th, and 20th, right?
yeah,
Yes.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Or, yes.
I come in on Thursday and start getting everything set up for the vendors, so technically 17th is when we start.
So is the canoe journey in June or July?
July.
It's the 21st.
July 21st.
It's on
That's
the
why I
Monday
was so
after Allyn Days.
confused. Okay. All right. Thank you.
I have Charlene's information too with me, that one of the ladies that we met with, one of the ladies in charge, if you need that.
Of the canoe? Of the
Yeah.
canoe, okay.
She does a lot of the museum stuff over at the tribe.
Really? Oh, yes.
Yeah,
We want to get a hold of her.
okay,
That's great. I appreciate that.
you're welcome. I appreciate you guys having your meeting at 4 so that we could attend.
Well, good. So there's positive.
See, you got more attendance now.
That's
There
great.
was supposed to be more of us, I don't know what happened to them, so.
But there's supposed to be more of us too, but it's
The
just
heat is dropping a bit.
pretty much, yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you, ladies. I appreciate that very much.
It works some days.
That's wonderful. Okay, now the Port Commission, about the sewer connection extensions. Mike, I'll let you lead off, because I did watch, I didn't attend, but I did watch it. And I'll let you speak a little bit first, and I'll give my 2 cents.
From what I gathered from when I was watching it, basically, Bremerton, kids have kind of, they were kind of wanting a free, they can put in whatever they want there, whatever they aren't willing to restrict what shops and stuff are going in. When I've talked to, I've only talked to a couple, but when I've talked to businesses, they're concerned, really concerned, because they believe that it's going to greatly impact their business. The only, the upside is, the Belfair water system or sewer system will do better because they'll have more, connections and make more money and stuff. But it could really damage the economic development of our businesses, which is what we're supposed to be protecting. So revenue, then it can greatly harm all of Mason County, as well as do a lot of damage to Belfair Business County, as well as do a lot of damage to Belfair businesses. So I'm against it. So I know Randy Netherlands made it quite clear how he feels about it,
Mhm.
and he's definitely against it. I've only talked to one other commissioner, and he's still trying to weigh the pros and cons and figure out, last time we talked, where he stands. He's not going one way or the other. He wants to make, but I think a letter from us stating that we disagree with it, think it's a bad idea, may hold weight. Being that it affects our area, I don't understand why the Port of Allyn hasn't been part of this from the beginning, because it's kind of, our area is being affected, and we weren't even asked to have a seat at the table. And they're kind of like trying to do this around us, and I don't think that's good.
I know part of that is because the county does ultimately make the decision. But nevertheless, that's why we weren't really involved. But, watching that, watching the meeting, having Sharon talk about getting more stakeholders involved, I think is really critical. I too am very concerned about it, because I think like what you said and what I heard even Randy say even is just concerned about what it can do for us, not just the short term, but the long term of economic development of businesses. I've heard that, we're concerned about the big box stores maybe going over there, but Commissioner Tarswell made a really interesting statement that the younger people don't really go shop anymore, so I don't see big box stores so much. But still,
I think it depends on the big. I think it depends on the big box.
Well, if it's distribution,
yeah, but if it's
or
but
manufacturing,
if it's like Home Depot
mm-hmm.
or something like that, you can't order that through Amazon. You're going to have to go to the big store, and that would greatly affect places like
McClendon's, yeah,
McClendon's, and even
Mitchell,
yeah.
So are they talking about extending the sewer up to the business center, the
into Kitsap County?
Yeah,
all the way up.
into the city limits
Yeah.
of Bremerton.
Did anybody make a comment?
Well, apparently, yes, go ahead, Ken, but let me finish what I'm saying and then I'll get to you. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. Finish what I was going to say is that, trying to make a decision on this, the one thing I was impressed with is at least they were sitting at the table and Randy was bringing up some good things about his concerns, and they were willing to look at that, and that they were thinking about, if they were to sign interlocal agreement or anything like that, or they even talked about a merger. We have to win at this. And I think they made that clear, that Mason County has to win at it. We have to get something good out of it and not give it away. So
yes.
At least they know that. At least the city of Bremerton and the port knows that. So I was encouraged by that. So I don't know if my thought it might be a little premature, because they have a lot of work to do. But if we want to press forward, then we can talk about that some more. Go ahead, Ken. Sorry. I don't usually.
No, that's all right. I'll wait until you finish your discussion. Thank you.
Good. So I'm definitely not for it. I can say that, because not at this point.
Yeah, I see a lot of downside, not a lot of upside for our businesses, and that's what I'm mostly concerned for. As it stands now, like I said, I think we should push forward to
Say we're against it.
to let them know that as it is now, we are against what they're, the proposal. One, they need to know that we should be involved.
Well, I think they do know that, though. But I also know
but they
that
weren't. They didn't,
well, yeah, with this grant, true. And what was interesting about the grant that they got, there's a lot of stipulations on that to where they can't just spend all this money on it. They did talk about preliminary work that would be out of pocket expenses now for the county and for them before they even take advantage of this grant. So that's why I was a little hesitant about saying no, don't do it, because there's a lot of footwork that has to be done first before they even come up with an agreement. So, I just don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot too soon, that's all. But again, my concerns are like what you are. We don't want to hurt our economic development future. But now that there's just two of us, we can, can we table it till John gets back?
Well, I guess we do have some time, so we can table it.
Okay,
Because as long as they don't try to move forward, I think we got some time. But we need to make sure they understand though, that we have concerns,
Yeah.
legitimate concerns.
okay. Well, I'd like to table it till John gets back. And then, okay,
After
well,
After.
after Ken, okay. Okay, Ken, are we good?
Mhm.
Ken?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. to table it. And I'd like to see the analysis that you folks did in the one letter. That's all I have. Thank you.
Jeff, yes.
Yes, please.
Jeff Carey, I too listened to the video. And as you know, I'm involved with the Planning Advisory Committee for Mason County. And I keep seeing a reoccurring problem occur, and I've seen it for the last 30 years. And that is, we won't complete a capital facilities plan. And I didn't see anything in that whole presentation about anybody talking about their numbers and how it pencils out. And I'm not for or against it in that sense, but I'm saying until we get our numbers, until we get a plan. And when I say we, I also mean Mason County.
Mhm.
And I've been lobbying with Mason County to get a plan for the two, north end sewers. I mean, it's in the wax, Washington State Administration Code to do these things, and they haven't done it. Or they've done a portion related like to Olympic Ridge, but not the whole kit and caboodle. And my concern is this, is that the county got a loan, they expanded it up into Olympic Ridge or beyond Olympic Ridge. Okay, that's great. But what's occurring, when I look at the finances of 2025, the budgets, I won't say everybody, that's not true, but a lot of people are saying, okay, we got the system, the welfare system financially under control. But when I look at the numbers, it's not sustainable with the current numbers the way they're going, unless we're gonna continually pull REIT money continually till the cows come home. To give you an idea, you only got 600 and some connections now, or a little bit over, okay? You look at what that brings in revenue. Forget the loans, forget the grants, forget all this stuff, put it aside for a second. You're only bringing at most 1.2 million, to 1.5 million in, and you got expenses pushing 3. That's not sustainable. And so I believe the port should table it, I guess is but also take action with it, meaning we need to prompt both sides, i.e. both the county and the city of Bremerton, to pony up and put up the capital facilities plans. Because when I look at the capital facilities plan of city of Bremerton, it's not really there. And maybe there's a later amendment and I just haven't been able to find it. But, they got their expenses and things. And so, I'm really concerned because every time so far in Mason County we've done a sewer project, it's always ended up costing us way more, especially the citizens of each area. It did in Allyn, it started out cheap and got way more expensive
Yeah,
for a whole bunch of reasons, which could have been controlled. You look at, Belfair had its system completely almost paid for, and then they went and tried to get more, which, okay, fine, but then it didn't pan out, and so then you have these debts. And all I'm saying is, there is not a concise, comprehensive plan, and I've stated to the county, I'm not after doing what City of Shelton or others have done, where you got a 400 to 1,000 page plan. I'm after getting an executive summary together and say, this is what we got, this is what our capability is. Not the nitty gritty, but the big picture, and see, okay, what's it take to go this, to bring this 160,000 gallons of treatment from Kitsap County? What does it really take? Because there's all kinds of hearsay. And another thing, I don't have a problem with us conceptually servicing Kitsap County. But what needs to occur is we, Mason County, need to look at what King County has done with the 20 or so, 25 different cities and districts they serve in addition to King County, and see the good, the bad, and the ugly, how that worked. Obviously something's working, but what, I don't know. I have not taken the time. All I know is when you look it up, you see a list, and when you see these different agreements with these different municipalities and districts.
Yeah, good idea.
So, and I've brought that to the county's attention, to the administrator, although now he's no longer here. But until we do those kind of things, you cannot move forward. Otherwise, all you're doing is just, putting it back on. It always ends up back on the citizens, and we're not going to make enough to buy our way out of these things. And we can. This county cannot afford another approach like we did with Allyn or with Belfair. We just cannot do that. And I'm just concerned that we get down that path, we're going to be back in that, having more. We're going to have to spend more money, and still we're not even breaking even with the expenses. It's just now, after 22 years, that the Allyn sewer system is finally in the black.
Okay.
They finally have some funds, set aside. They're not set aside, they're in cash, but it's in the last 2 years that they finally, maybe 3 years, that they got in the black. And we didn't have the debt that Belfair has.
Right.
So anyway, that's enough of mine, but that's my concern.
Okay.
So I would be all in favor of tabling it, but not, parking it, but actually driving it forward. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. So it's tabled. Tell John.
It is tabled.
Maybe till our special meeting and workshop, we can talk some more about it. Okay. Next is the Case in the Fisheries Task Force, which Travis is not here, so we'll skip over that. No new items. And financial position report. Is Erin going to be, she's not going to be here?
I have not heard anything from her, and I have not seen her today, so.
Okay. Well, I don't have questions, but it would be nice to go through some of it, but
Jeff.
go ahead, Jeff, since you were kind of helpful with our
I worked on the budget a
stuff.
little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been 18 months, roughly, since we tried to get things back on track. Fine, we're much better off than we were then. My concern is this. If you look at those reports that you got, and you can't tell where you're over budget. Like, let's take the legal fund with respect to the legal expenses related to the water fund. I realize some of those are related to policy, but others are related to,
Oh, yeah.
problems.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yep.
I've been emphasizing that I understand the commission cannot be, experts in all things, budgets, whatever's the subject, okay? But we gotta somehow create some type of oversight so that we know when we're starting to deviate off course.
Well, we did have her do that at one time, but then it became, isn't that like another report that was actually buried into this, but this was the simplified version? That's what I thought we had.
A year ago in August, I thought we had an understanding, but I haven't seen it,
Okay,
okay?
so we could ask Erin about that, because I know that we wanted to get the
But
percentages.
But here's a
of-
classic case, okay? So I work with the port there in January, we get things in 2024 to get things straight. Then I work with Travis, so it was Randy, Netherland, and
Yeah.
myself really working to get that straightened out. Then last year's regular budget process, we had Travis get in the middle of that. And so I let him work it, and then we both worked it, and eventually it got to the board, and eventually it worked and hammered out. And I'm trying to step away from that. And when I look at what you're getting for reports, there is no way in God's earth you're going to know what you spent in these different funds. As an example, take the water fund. You can debate whether there should be there's like 63 different expense categories. You can debate whether there should be 63 or 33.
Correct.
Okay, fine. But we haven't had that debate, one. Two, you only have 7 in the report.
True. I know that she had another one though, because we were starting down that trail but you're right, about the ones that we get is a simplified version. But you're
Yeah.
right, because I know that she started to do that.
Because the board's got to be able to look at that
Yeah, that's true.
and say no. Or I don't even want to go to the if.
Well, let me ask Erin about that, because I know that we originally told her to break that down.
Well, and I'll state it simply. The board either has to get an accounting, it's either the system, the person with the technical skills, or both, or something, okay? But that has to get resolved. Because I don't see how you can manage the finances of the port without knowing.
Where every dollar's going. I understand
Yeah,
that.
and,
That's
and
true.
I'm not after the nitty gritty, 2% here, 5% there. But when you're legal, 6 times what we budgeted for.
Well, yes.
Yeah, I understand more of the story, but what I'm
Okay.
trying, I can't cover all things simultaneously when I speak.
I
I speak
understand.
with only one mouth, one sequential serial, okay? Either way, it needs to be brought up, whether you're going to or not. It's one thing if it's 20%, okay, maybe you can make it work. But when you're, 6 times, either we screwed up in budgeting, or, there's a problem, or both. But I don't think we messed up on the budgeting, other than didn't understand the problem, potentially.
But you're right. I mean, I would agree with you in that, because I know that we originally had a lot of breakdowns and percentages on all of them of what they were supposed to be. So perhaps if we get Erin to give us a quarterly with all of the breakdown, and the simple ones monthly,
Right.
and then quarterly get something, because it costs time and money
But
for,
you understand what I'm saying as far as, there's no way, and I talked to Travis on the way back, I said, I'm gonna bring this up, and I mentioned roughly what I was gonna cover,
yeah,
and, I could tell, I know his mannerisms and what have I could tell, even not seeing him, yeah, okay, you're right, but, okay, so what are we gonna do? And I'm not asking for an answer right now, but what I'm saying is, it needs to be, I'm just saying that if you try to create the budget this next go around, with all the categories we have, I don't know how I look at that and I don't know how to strip it out
yeah, that's a good point,
and
because
break
you're
it
right.
down. And when I talked to Travis last year, and I think the board also, that I mentioned that we need to start the process, fine. It doesn't have to be perfect, but let's then find the budget has, it's 3 tiers, it has the water, general, then it has expense, revenue, and then, it breaks it down, okay? Maybe we don't have the 63, but we get the summary of those 12 that make up at least those 12. Because there's no way you're going to be able to plan. I'm looking at that right now, and I don't see how, knowing the experience I have, working with Travis, working with the board, I'm gonna struggle trying to figure out how to create a budget.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah,
And I would like to step away from that. I mean, it's a volunteer effort. It's not what I signed up for.
no, but I
It was-
appreciate it.
You're welcome, but I mean, what I'm saying is this, no one thing should be limited to one person being involved. It should be able to carry on, because this is a government agency. It should be able to, I get my 2 bits, and if it's right and they can apply it, great, move ahead, and it should go ahead. You know, and one other thing that's happened on the financial reports. Remember, I asked that for the board as well as Travis and everybody agreed to produce, you know, I'll call it a trial balance or you know, basically a 90-day report on the water fund customers, meaning
Oh, yeah,
current
okay.
balance, you know, greater than 30, greater than 60. So you know where the heck you are and where to focus, you know, time to collect, you know, funds and.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we had one of those last month.
I didn't see it, but that doesn't mean it didn't occur. I wasn't here at the last meeting.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw one because it was.
Well, that was, I think that showed in arrears, wasn't it? Wasn't it? Was it a detailed one of all of the customers for 90 days? Did we get that report?
Yeah, it was like 90 days, 30 days.
Not last month,
Was that the month before?
it was a month.
Sorry.
Wait,
It's all running in
Okay.
together.
there's 2 months then, you know, I mean, and that should be duck soup to produce.
Sure, well, we have it. I know that we'll have it, so we can get that.
But I mean, okay, here's the board meeting.
Sure,
You can't direct Travis to do anything on it. We don't know if certain things are getting extended, you know, running out
Yeah.
that should be focused on. You know, as far as people, you know, I mean, there's people that I know that hadn't paid, and you know, I start leaning on them and say, hey, you know, get current. Because you know, I just asked Travis straight up, you know, they're acquaintances, and you know, I know them well enough. I know their finances, and it's like, okay, let's get this, you know, bring it current. So, I'm just.
well, I will bring
I'm
that up.
really, what I'm really after is, I want the board to have the tools to be able, so the board, if the board can, but through the board, through the director, be able to manage the finances in such a way that you know where you are
Well, yeah, I
with
appreciate
the
that.
budget, you know, and what have you. And all I can say is, right now, looking at it, I don't, am thinking about trying to create the budget for next year. Because I'm looking at 7 and trying to figure out how to divide it out across, you know, 63. And like I said, I'm not saying that all 63 are required, but they look like they should be, but, you know,
Sure.
it's fine.
I
But-
think that's kind of where we started at one
Administrative.
time.
Yeah, we
wasn't
were
it?
less,
Yeah.
in the beginning, but because of a separation of water fund
Yeah.
and general fund, we ended up with more because, and that's another thing too. It looks, again, you know, we have where the water fund refunds the general fund quarterly.
Mm-hmm,
It looks like we're refunding more aggressively than we budgeted. For expenses, for lack of a better word. So expenses seem to be running about 20 to 25% higher than we planned. From the water
Oh,
fund
yes, yes.
paying the general fund.
yes,
In other words,
Okay.
you know, for
Yeah.
mailing and things like,
Yeah.
the things that the general fund's doing, that the water fund has to reimburse. There's things there that, I don't know that they're right or wrong, I'm just saying, when you look at the numbers, we're running about 25% ahead of where we should be. And again, it can't tell that in those reports.
yeah, or even if it's, because remember, we talked about our percentages
Yes,
being raised, and so
Yes.
that may reflect that, but without designating that's what was happening,
right,
correct?
but we need to come back and look and say, a review and say, to some degree,
Mhm.
saying, okay, because remember, we did increase the insurance,
Mm-hmm,
because that was a
Yeah.
greater portion to the water fund. I can't remember, there was a couple we increased because of the nature of what they are.
mm-hmm,
And, you know,
okay,
I'm game for what, but we can't tell, and so, you know, and so to me, the commission or the director need to come back and say, okay, looking at this is what we're really spending out of the water fund and expenses, so we need to refund the general fund this much. But we're like right now, we're 29% or 25% ahead.
well, I'll bring that to Travis, and then, I can hear him now, well, that's gonna cost us more money to break off, because, you know, we pay Aaron, you know, time and effort and all that, but, again, that's our
Well,
job, so,
We have to reconcile something.
yeah,
So
I agree,
we just can't willy-nilly go.
yep, I
That's
agree.
all I'm saying.
So I'll bring it before Travis and Aaron, you know,
I'll try to write up something for Travis, you know, like I
Okay.
did there for the IDD fund.
okay,
some ideas.
That's great. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think, anything else, any questions you have the other way?
I don't think so.
No, not at the moment.
The only thing that is notable on our expense report, we did have to get the AC fixed. And that was about $650, I wanna say.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Is that in
But
this one?
We were fine.
Yeah.
That was not a problem. In the budget, that was not a problem.
But, that was just already budgeted for it.
Yeah, there
But-
was,
Beyond that, I think we're good.
What's gonna hit our water fund is the current water pump. We're currently
And
going all over the place getting parts for to put
I
together.
can only sum it up by this.
That's gonna.
We need to get things reconciled or figure out why they're going faster here or there. And then obviously the legal side, one of those is legit with policies. I mean, they're both legit, but one's policies and one's, actual claim or potential claims.
Correct.
And
Hopefully that will change.
yeah, but I would like the board to, I know you got your rules and regs, but I'd like to, get that hammered out. Because I'm fighting that same thing with the same party. And about the same amount you're fighting it with.
Okay,
So we're both,
it's difficult.
yes, in a jam.
Okay,
Anyway, thank you.
thank you, Jeff. So is there any questions, any more questions or anything?
No,
Michael?
that's.
Okay,
Need to-
I think we can move forward with okaying or
You want me to read the?
approving the action items B, C, and D.
Yep. I move that we do the payments of the general fund voucher number 250600012-250600043 in the amount of $9,517.07. Payment of the payroll vouchers number 250600001-250600011 in the amount of $18,075.63. And the payment of the water fund voucher 2506004-250600051 in the amount of $17,879.28.
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Okay, anything for the good of the order?
One question.
Sure.
You know how, in your workshops, you basically don't take public comment?
Yeah.
Except, in the case of the water system, because of the agreement. Could we think about having some public comment, like this financial section?
Sure.
I'm assuming that it's in the work, as part of the workshop.
Sure.
Making that assumption.
We'll ask the chair.
Yeah.
I'm not the chair
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, you're the acting chair.
You're the acting chair.
So, make a decision. There's nothing wrong with you saying yes.
Okay,
You know,
it's fine with me. I mean, we need the input, so.
yeah, because there's quite, if we're gonna have a workshop on it, I'd like, it doesn't do me any good not to say anything,
Sure.
or the public to say anything on it, so.
Well, it's really critical, so like I said,
thank
I'm
you.
sure you'll have that chance anyway.
Thank you.
Anybody else for the good of the order out there? Welcome and thank you. Okay, anything else? Commissioner Justine, no? Meeting adjourned.